The Morrigan doesn't wait for you to be ready. She shows up when your life is already breaking open, and honestly, that's the point. But before we go any further, you need to understand something. She's not what you've been told. She's not some dark goddess lurking in an underworld, collecting souls like taxes. She's the one standing at the edge of the battlefield, deciding who lives and who falls. That's a completely different kind of power. She doesn't rule death. She shapes fate while you're still breathing. And here's where it gets wild. The Morrigan isn't even one figure. She's 3, maybe more, depending on which story you're reading. Badb, Macha, Nemain, they weave in and out of each other like a storm system, separate and unified all at once. You can't pin her down because she was never meant to be pinned down. Her name likely means Phantom Queen or Great Queen, and that matters. She's not hiding in shadows waiting to be summoned. She's sovereign over the entire landscape of fate and war. She owns it. And she'll show up however she wants, as a crow circling overhead, a wolf at the tree line, an eel coiling around your leg in the river, a cow blocking your path, an old woman washing blooded armor at the ford. Every form is a test. Every encounter is an initiation. She's not trying to comfort you. She's trying to see if you're awake. You want to see the Morrigan in action? Look at what she did to see you, Cú Chulainn. Ireland's golden boy. Undefeated warrior. The kind of man who thought he was above consequences. In the Tyne Bo Quailnge, the great cattle raid, she appears to him as a beautiful woman. Offers him her love, her aid, partnership with a goddess. And he rejects her. Badly. Insults her, actually. Tells her he's too busy for women when he's got a war to fight. So she comes back. As a serpent wrapped around his feet in the river. As a wolf stampeding cattle through his battle. As a red-eared heifer leading the charge while he's already fighting for his life, bleeding, barely standing. Petty? No. This is consequence. You refuse sovereignty. Sovereignty reminds you what refusal costs. But here's where it gets devastating. Later, she appears as an old woman milking a cow. 3 wounds on her body, wounds he gave her in their fight. She offers him milk. He drinks. Blesses her 3 times, and with each blessing, 1 wound heals. He has no idea who she is. The point? She offered partnership. He chose arrogance. And she made him heal her, made him earn her forgiveness without ever knowing it. That's what sovereignty does. It doesn't beg. It waits. Here's what most people get wrong about the Morrigan. They think she's about dominance. Power over others. But sovereignty in Irish mythology isn't about ruling people. It's about the land itself choosing who gets to lead, who gets to thrive, who gets cut down. And the Morrigan is that choice personified. She doesn't bow to kings. She makes them or breaks them based on whether they are worthy of the ground they stand on. She appeared before battles not as a cheerleader or a curse slinger, but as someone who could already see how it would end. She washed the armor of those about to die at the river ford. Not because she killed them. Because she saw what was already true. That's the thing about sovereignty. It's not negotiable. It's not earned through posturing. It either recognizes you or it doesn't. And when you work with the Morrigan, you're not asking for control over your fate. You're accepting that fate exists, that some things are already written in the bones of the world. But here's your power. You choose how you meet it. With courage or cowardice. With eyes open or shut. She doesn't care if you win. She cares if you're worthy of the field you're standing on when the moment comes. Here's the thing about the Morrigan. She doesn't show up during breakthroughs. She shows up during breakdowns. When your job implodes. When your relationship ends in a way that makes you question everything you thought was solid. When your identity cracks open like an egg and suddenly you don't know who you are anymore, and the person you've been feels like a costume you've been wearing for years. That's when she arrives. And if you're feeling her right now, you're not alone. We're in a collective unraveling. The structures we thought would hold us aren't holding. The stories we were told about how life works aren't working. And the Morrigan is the goddess of necessary destruction, the kind that doesn't apologize, the kind that clears ground for what's actually supposed to grow next. She's not here because things are falling apart. She's here because they need to. If you keep seeing crows everywhere, if you're dreaming of battlefields, if her name keeps showing up and you don't even know why you're drawn to it, that's not aesthetic. That's not algorithm. That's an actual call. And here's what she's asking, because she doesn't cuddle and she doesn't promise safety and she genuinely does not care if you're scared. Are you willing to become who you actually are? Not who you've been pretending to be. Not who you were supposed to be. Who you are when everything false burns away. That's the question. And it's not a gentle one. Here's the thing about the Morrigan. She doesn't want your performance. She wants your honesty, the brutal kind. The kind that makes your voice shake. No spiritual bypassing. No pretending you've healed something you're still bleeding from. No performing growth you haven't actually earned. She sees through that immediately, and it bores her. What she's really watching for is whether you'll stop abandoning yourself. Because every time you swallow your anger to keep someone comfortable, every time you ignore what you know to be true, every time you make yourself smaller so others can stay bigger, you're rejecting her. You're choosing the lie over the blade. And she notices. So what actually matters to her? Your truth, spoken aloud even when your hands are shaking. Boundaries that cost you something to enforce. Creative work that terrifies you. Standing your ground when the easier thing would be to fold. These are the offerings she recognizes. Not another crystal on an altar. Not another prayer you don't mean. She doesn't need your devotion as much as she needs your backbone. Reverence is fine. She'll take it. But what she's really looking for are people who can hold their own sovereignty without flinching. People who won't crumble the first time transformation gets uncomfortable. Because if you can't stand in your own power, you can't stand with hers. Here's the part no one tells you. Working with the Morrigan will end things. Relationships, jobs, entire identities you thought were you, they'll fall away. And it's not because she's cruel. It's because she sees what's already dead and rotting. She just refuses to let you keep dragging the corpse around pretending it's still alive. You'll lose friends who need you to stay small. Partners who can't handle your full power. Versions of yourself that kept you safe but stuck. The you who apologized for taking up space, who dimmed your light so others wouldn't feel threatened, who performed endless emotional labor to keep everyone comfortable except yourself. She doesn't survive this. She can't. And honestly, that's the point. What you get in return isn't comfort. It's not ease. It's unshakable self-trust. The ability to walk through fear without collapsing. A life that's actually yours and not a performance for someone else's comfort. She doesn't promise it'll be easy. She promises it'll be true. And in the end, that's the only thing that matters. You can spend your whole life being safe, being liked, being small, or you can step into the battlefield and become who you actually are. The Morrigan doesn't care which you choose, but she knows which one sets you free. She's still circling, still watching, not because she wants something from you, but because she knows what you're becoming, even if you don't yet. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.